On November 25, 1963, while America and the world mourned the loss of President John F. Kennedy, his 3-year-old son John, standing next to his devastated mother, raised his hand in salute to his fallen father.
Featured performances by Tommy Tune and Sandy Duncan, Victor Borge, Joel Grey, and Paul Anka, who had a very famous dancing partner.
Words I want to hear, tell me that you love me too.
Mr. Speaker, Mrs. O'Neill, Mr. Chief Justice and members of the Cabinet, members of the Congress, members of the Diplomatic Corps, distinguished members of the business community. Who's tending the store?
The theater, which was closed in 1865 after Abraham Lincoln was shot there, was reopened in 1968, following a multi-million-dollar renovation. President Reagan called it a shrine to the memory of the slain leader.
Is it fitting for us to come here tonight in a spirit of celebration for this theater once again to ring out with laughter? I believe that Mr. Lincoln himself would have wanted it so.
The event, which raised over $500,000, is scheduled to be televised June 25th. Bella Shaw, CNN, Atlanta.
Boys who fought a terrible and vicious war without enough support from home. Boys who were dodging bullets while we debated the efficacy of the battle. It was often our poor who fought in that war. It was the unpampered boys of the working class who picked up the rifles and went on the march. They learned not to rely on us. They learned to rely on each other.
President Reagan announced changes in the U.S. Supreme Court today, changes which could be profoundly important in this country, and Jack Perkins has details in tonight's cover story. Jack?
In shaping the character, the daily life of this nation, no institution is more important than the Supreme Court. When it changes, often our country does. So what to expect from today's news? Chief Justice Warren Burger retiring, new justice appointed. What now for the court and the country?
There's no question in my mind that there will be some considerable changes in the work of the Supreme Court over the next number of years.
When President Nixon named Warren Burger to become Chief Justice in '69, it was assumed he would turn the court more conservative. But the Burger Court would give us mandatory school busing, abortion. Indeed, it was Chief Justice who wrote the decision forcing Mr. Nixon to surrender the Watergate tapes. Chief Justice for 17 years. Tired of it?
I wasn't worried of being Chief Justice. It's a lot of fun.
But he wants to move on. So to replace him, President Reagan chose Justice William Rehnquist.
He is noted for his intellectual power, the lucidity of his opinions, and the respect he enjoys among his colleagues.
And for being probably the most conservative justice in 50 years. Though to replace him on the bench, Mr. Reagan has chosen Federal Appeals Court Judge Antonin Scalia, who is even more conservative. Scalia, 50, and thrilled.
For somebody who spent his whole professional life in the law, getting nominated to the Supreme Court is the culmination of a dream.
Said Rehnquist with puckish humor.
I wouldn't call it the culmination of a dream, but it's not every day when you're 61 years old that you get a chance to have a new job. And you take it.
The question is, can a man who has an extreme right-wing ideology manage the court in a fair and balanced way that will produce majority decisions?
How will the change the court? On many issues, perhaps not much. Consider the numbers. On abortion, the fundamental constitutionality of abortion, the court already stands at 7-2. On affirmative action, 8-1. Prayer in schools, 6-3 against. Burger dissented, so presumably will Scalia, so no change. And really, no surprise.
President Reagan said in 1980 and 1984, if he was elected, he would appoint the most conservative justices he could. He got elected.
And he did appoint very conservative judges, as he said he would.
The three major candidates for president are in a dead heat, according to a new poll. A survey by the Wall Street Journal and NBC shows undeclared candidate President Ross Perot with 33% of the vote, President Bush with 31%, and likely Democratic nominee Bill Clinton with 28%. There's a 3% margin of error. However, the poll also found that more than 60% of the voters questioned have reservations about their choice. Speculation continues to grow about who will be Bill Clinton's running mate. Today, one of Clinton's former foes, Paul Tsongas, gave Clinton his endorsement.
The recent controversy over the Supreme Court's decision relative to Roe versus Wade should provide ample evidence as to why Bill Clinton would be a far superior occupant of the White House than George Bush. America is pro-choice, and Bill Clinton is pro-choice.
Tsongas ruled out accepting the vice presidential spot or a position in the Bill Clinton White House. Today, Ross Perot made good on a promise to gay rights activists. He released a statement promising that if he's elected, he won't tolerate discrimination based on sexual orientation. Perot said that as a businessman, quote, "I have always prohibited discrimination in my business, and I have no intention of changing that policy if elected president. What people do in their private lives is their own business." Perot also commented on hate crimes, saying that any violence based on ethnicity, race, religion, or sexual orientation should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law.
Bob, as the president travels through some of these surface streets, can you tell what type of damage he is looking at? Can he see some of this damage as he travels down these streets?
If indeed there is damage to retaining walls or garden walls or exterior of homes along this route, then the president will see that. But that would be or buckled pavement on some of the surface streets. The president could see that. But during our coverage over the past couple of days, we haven't concentrated on the area that he's going through right now, just because we've concentrated our efforts on those larger areas, such as Sylmar and Northridge, that took the brunt or had the large buildings collapse and where the loss of life was so severe. He is continuing on Woodman right now, crossing, let's see, he'd be crossing Devonshire. This would be Devonshire, I'm sorry. He's on Devonshire right now. He's on Devonshire headed westbound now to crossing Woodman as we speak. So he is continuing westbound. He's not heading north up across the 118 yet, so he's still got a choice to make of either getting up under the 405 in the 118 area to look at that damage, or continuing, as we said, on over to the Northridge area to look at that Northridge Meadows apartment if he continues that way. But the only damage he'd be seeing here would be to homes. We've seen none that's obvious from our altitude. Obviously, we're being held back.
Our top story tonight, Donald Trump and his newest bright idea for only the very wealthy. The Donald wants to turn his South Florida money pit, the luxurious Mar-a-Lago estate, into an exclusive hideaway for the rich and regal. But hold the champagne and caviar, the shishi folks of Palm Beach aren't exactly thrilled about Club Donald. Mar-a-Lago, it's just your average summer home with 118 rooms on 17 acres of oceanfront property in exclusive Palm Beach, Florida. Trump purchased this jewel at the peak of his wealth and fame, but the 80s are over and the sky-high property taxes live on. So the Donald is turning the estate into a private club with a royal guest list. Trump's membership director says that both Prince Charles and Diana have signed up to be members of Club Donald. They reportedly joined individually, but even a mansion like Mar-a-Lago may not be big enough for the two of them.
I wonder what's going to happen when they both wind up showing up at the same time.
I won't want to miss that.
The doors to the exclusive club are scheduled to open in January, but by signing up now, Chuck and Di got the bargain price of $50,000 each. That price goes to $75,000 after the new year. But royal watcher Marlena Eilers says at any price, this royal rumor is just a cheap publicity stunt.
This is preposterous. You know, the Prince of Wales and the Princess of Wales are not going to, plunk down X amount of thousands of dollars to join an exclusive club in Florida. It's not in their nature. The British royals are not spendthrifts. They're rather thrifty people.
But the Prince and Princess of Wales aren't the only celebrities reported to be members. Steven Spielberg, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sylvester Stallone, and Lee Iacocca have all been linked as members of this Florida funhouse. Jesse Newman is the president of the Palm Beach Chamber of Commerce. He says if Donald's new club membership doesn't consist of 51% Palm Beach residents, he won't have a club at all.
We see a lot of names in the paper, and none of them live in Palm Beach.
And it may be tough to sign up enough locals. Most of the residents we spoke with weren't too excited about turning Mar-a-Lago into a party palace.
It's such a beautiful place.
It's a shame to make a club out of it.
It's like colorizing Casablanca.
It'll start to look more like a Walmart, probably.
Well, for the next few days, memberships are on sale. But celebrities like the royal family having membership cards could be Donald's trump card for paying his tax bill. By the way, Mar-a-Lago is Spanish for sea to lake, but Princess Di will not be lakeside for the new year. Even though she's a new member, Di is heading for the hills, reportedly vacationing in Vail, Colorado.